Yes, precious. Yes, it is July the 4th, aka Independence Day. Actually, it's the other way around because, yes, it is called Independence Day, where we celebrate our independence and the true No King's Day, especially one named George. Oh, dear me, dear me. Yes, thank you for everyone who's being here and those that will be watching in the future, because I know a lot of people have a lot of family things, and the celebrations are going on all weekend. I know that tomorrow at church it's going to be a big thing, and church Sunday, we got stuff like flags are all over the place. Fireworks are going to be going all weekend. Technically, you're not allowed to set off fireworks in the city limits, but somehow everybody does, and I'm still debating. Okay, I know better than to I know better than to have anywhere near me anything that explodes. But maybe something like sparklers might be safe. I don't know. I'm debating it, but you have to go outside the city limits to buy them. It's just a little bit crazy. Well, let's see who's here already. We have Steve Kenobi. Hello, and I think I just saw your message, and I think this answers the question. Now I'm going live. And let's see. Steve says, here it is Friday. We had our Constitution Day in May. I know. It was so nice of you all to celebrate your Constitution on the day of my birthday. Yeah, I saw the parades and everything. May 17th. Well done. Well done. Of course, our Constitution was 1789, or that's when it all, was done. And the whole ratification process had to be a problem. But the whole Declaration of Independence happened for several reasons. For one thing, we were in a big old war. And the reason why a declaration was made was, if you will, to use the common sense. What was it? Thomas Jefferson said, to bring it before a world. In the movie 1776, they said, you mean to say we're going to convince the world that an illegal rebellion is actually a legal rebellion? And yes, it was a whole idea. This idea that you had a natural right to rebel if you were underneath a tyranny. And so that's where we get a lot of the wording of the Declaration of Independence, especially the beginning and the ending of it. And it has become something that's very foundational to the United States of America. It's very foundational to us, so much to the fact that when I was teaching social studies back in the day, I haven't done that for a long, long time for obvious reasons. Stay away from social studies, everybody. No, you can't win. But I would make my students memorize it and recite it. Yes, precious, we hold these truths to be self-evident. And that is what is so epic. It's not even that these truths are truths and all this. It's like a fancy word of saying, duh. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that is foundational to us even to this day when we say we have a right to life, we have a right to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Originally, it was going to be property, but because of issues with that had to do with something that rhymes with Malaves, not in there, which is a good thing. Now, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote it, he was an owner of such and was very well aware of the hypocrisy. On the other hand, when his conscience came to it, when he wanted it put in posterity, that's what he did. That's what makes history so fascinating. It's full of real human beings. It is Salty Traveling C. Hello, Salty Traveling C. So good to see you. Good morning, fellow rabble-rousing patriots. Darn right. Steve Kenobi says, perhaps a weekend on which to watch the John Adams show. Oh, hail yes. I have a bit of a tradition where I watch the second episode of the John Adams, but it would probably be appropriate to watch the first two because it all leads up to the situation of the whole Declaration of Independence. It's very epic. Very, very, very epic. So that's a tradition that I watch at least the second episode with Stannis Baratheon as Thomas Jefferson. I also like to watch the musical 1776, the movie. It is amazing. It is amazing. If you're not into songs, I would highly recommend Suck It Up or search through the songs. That's perfectly acceptable. You can, for the most part, get all the content you need from 1776 just watching the spoken parts. But it is so well sourced and so well done. And John Adams is played by the just perfect person whose name I can't remember, William Daniels, who's like in his 90s now. He is Thomas Jefferson. He is Thomas Jefferson. Wow. He is John Adams, rather. He does a better job, in my humble opinion, than Stannis Baratheon. But he had a bigger task, though, because he portrayed all of Thomas Jefferson's life. Sorry, gosh darn it. It's not even Paul Giamatti. Thank you. Paul Giamatti. Okay, Paul Giamatti played John Adams. William Daniels played John Adams. William Daniels, I thought, was better. But you can't compare the two because they're two totally different things. And Paul Giamatti did not have to act. Stannis Baratheon played Thomas Jefferson. And I forget who did Thomas Jefferson in the musical. Lots of singing, lots of good stuff. All right, it is Heisman. Hello, Heisman, 4th of July. Thank you. Let freedom ring, America. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been America. Wow, has it been an American time. May 8th, ever since we got an American Pope, it's like, woo, yay. What did somebody say the day after he was elected? It's like, we've got an American Pope, we've got the president we have, and next year we are having the 200th anniversary, rather the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of the Independence. Let's effing go. Darn right. It is only treason if you lose. That is true. We will all hang together or hang separately. Never miss the Y key when typing tyranny. I learned that a while back. Dear goodness. Happy Independence Day. Why, hello, Buddy Hepburn. Thank you for being here. Paul Giamatti nailed John Adams. Darn right. I mean, that was probably easily his best performance ever, though. Has he ever had a bad performance? As we famously like to use his line from that one movie, Ironclad, with which hand did you touch me? Because he was playing King Richard. Did such a good job. Salty Traveling Sea says, I have 2 framed and mounted prints in my office. One is Thomas Jefferson, the other Teddy Roosevelt. Stephen Delane, thank you very much. Thank you. William Daniels, a.k.a. the voice of Kit. That's right. He also was in Saved by the Bell. Steve Kenobi says, Stephen Delane would have been great as Solomon Kane in the early 2000s. He would have been perfection. Oh, wouldn't that have been awesome? Speaking of which, we now have the first 3 issues of Solomon Kane. Steve will get them later than I, because Norway. But yes, they are purchased and ready to go. And I would be reading them if I hadn't been reading The Wheel of Time like it was going out of business. I finished book 6. Oh my gosh. Was it amazing or was that amazing? Now, I'm one of those that believes the whole book was good. I've heard people say, well, only the ending was good. It's like, what the hell? The whole book was good. My gosh, was that amazing. Long live the Dragon Reborn. Good catch. Tommy is here. Woo! Happy Freedom Day. Well, happy freedom. And you know what? No offense, no hard feelings. We love our former tyranny people. We're all friends now. Yes, we are precious. And maybe, we may have to return the favor to y'all if things keep going the way they're going over there in England or UK. My gosh, I've been paying attention. I have been paying attention. America is still freedom of speech and freedom of expression rights. This is my country. This my country, not this country. Yeah. Gosh, and maybe when we get to the anniversary of the Constitution, that'll be something. I remember when the 200th anniversary of the Constitution happened. I was a youngling in school. We had like a big thing. I was in middle school at that time. Giamatti was bad as Rhino in the second Andy Garfield Spider-Man movie. Oh, but that was not on him. Rotten writing. There you are. I'm also collecting Titans all-in-one. Woo! Yeah. Titans comics are amazing, and I like to sit around and tell people those that are not highlighting what's going on that is good in rather traditional comics maybe have an ulterior motive. Book 6 had a really explosive thing. Literally, talk about the rockets, red glare, and the bombs bursting in air. I'll tell you what, if you have not read The Wheel of Time, do so. I am having the time of my life. And it's helping me on this solitary 4th of July because everyone's in Florida but me. Because I have a busted knee. But that's okay because I've got, well, right now, a very needy cat with me and I'm dog sitting and I have been able to read The Wheel of Time and also watch Deadwood. And then today I'll watch some 776 stuff. You cannot replace James Purfoy. Yes, says Rachel Perciar. Yes, he was perfection. Yes, that was probably the best casting on the planet. And to this day, I am still very disappointed and upset that there was some sort of distribution issue which kept it from being a hit. Too bad. Purefoy nailed it darn right. I love James Purefoy. And man, the first time he puts on the cloak and the hat, the Solomon Kane hat, only Robert E. Howard could make a Puritan hat look badass. What a guy. I love Robert E. Howard. Get the collected Solomon Kane Stories book by Howard Salty. It's amazing. Yes. Teresa appropriately. Oh gosh, no. No. Teresa appropriating Wounded Knee from like a Karen. Yes, that's me. I'm a pure Karen. Well, we have 10 people here. Well, thank you, everyone. If you are new here today, please like, share, and subscribe early and often. I remember celebrating the bicentennial shooting up bottle rockets with my grandfather. I was 6. USA. USA. That's right. I was way too little. I was 2 when the bicentennial happened. But oh my goodness gracious. I remember the year that the Proud to be an American, God Bless the USA came out. Oh man, that was 1984, I think. And then being the first time hearing that, oh my gosh, what a time. This is where it is unfortunate about copyright things with music. Though as a musician, I must say I do have to support it because I would get very cranky if I knew that people were, with my music, but that's okay. That's okay. The music I have that is copyrighted to me is very simple. It's actually children's music, but hey, it's great children's music. All right. And so you probably wouldn't be hearing it on the internet or anywhere except if a very small niche area. C. Kenobi, the one from the 70s. Yes, working on it, says Salty Traveling C. Think there's a reprint coming. No, a fairly new one, says Steve. Can send you a link. Oh yeah. Is that the one get the collected one? It is amazing. Is that the one that you had me get? I don't know. But in any case, yes, I'm glad that you all love Solomon Kane. And I recently re-upped my Robert E. Howard biography. I decided instead of like trying to redo the whole thing, I just edited out some details. And once you see it, you will know exactly the details and why I did. But I really enjoyed making that biography. And I really, really like everything that I did with that. I actually got to go visit the home place of Robert E. Howard, the Robert E. Howard Museum. Such good stuff. If you don't have an opportunity, go ahead and do so. But 1776. Yes, we love America here at Miss Martin Muses. And to go with some of these rights that we have, of course, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, when the First Amendment came out back in the day. What's the first right? Religion. Freedom of religion. There will be no state church, and Congress shall not prevent the free exercise thereof. There's a reason why it's the first. And that's been an issue lately, actually ever since 2008, if you know who was the president then. We've been working on it. We'll see what's going to happen, but definitely that is the first right. And of course, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to petition. You see, that's the other thing. You have the freedom to petition. You can petition for anything. This whole idea that you cannot petition, and if we're thinking about 2020, that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Some of those issues. Freedom of assembly. Of course, within reason. You're not allowed to be violence, but we all know that there are certain exceptions to it. And somehow it is never on the side of liberty. Yes, so keep those rights, keep those and hold them close. Think about it as RIPPS: religion, assembly, press, petition, speech. Not necessarily in that order, but that's how it works together. That's how I used to teach it. They did a King Cole collection storybooks too in that series, and I think everything else by Howard. Oh, maybe I need to have a look at that. I've got those collected trades with stories. Woo! Well done. Yes. So we need to hold these very close to us. Maybe one of these days I'll do a thing about why we had freedom of religion. And it's not as simple as people think. Sometimes I'll see people saying things and I'm like, no, that's not why. That's not necessarily why we have freedom of religion. I did my master's thesis on that, and particularly what went on with Maryland and the effect that that experience had on our founding fathers of both the Protestant and the Catholic faiths. George Washington himself said that a lot of that led to the First Amendment, but I digress. That's something completely different. But one of these days, yes. It is Dead Man Walking. Woo! Hello, Miss Martin uses. All right, let's give some love. Let's give the love to Vicksburg. Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. Because of Gettysburg, I saw that really funny meme, the one where the guy's whistling at the girl and the other girl's going like, what the hell? Where the Civil War fans or people are whistling at Gettysburg and Vicksburg is going like, what the hell? Because one could argue that Vicksburg was even a bigger victory because after Vicksburg fell, after the siege and all that campaign, Anaconda Plan, look it up. It's really awesome. It split the Confederacy in two. It was done for the Confederacy at that point. Now, what happened in Gettysburg, it stopped Robert E. Lee from threatening Washington, etc., and kind of took more control of the eastern area. Long story short, I know I very simplified it, but Vicksburg completed the complete control of the Mississippi to the Union, and that was it. And then the squeeze happened because once they got down there, the Confederacy was cut off from everything. Then the Union controlling it was able just to go east, and boom. Deadman Monkey says, yes, today, 162 years ago today, the Illinois monument there is amazing. Oh my gosh, one of these days, I need to go over there. It's not really that far. Not that far. See, now I have an excuse. I'll blame everything on my busted knee. Once my knee is unbusted, I will take care of that. I did get my MRI on Wednesday, so I should know more Monday or Tuesday. It depends on what day everyone gets off because of Independence Day, with the way the federal stuff works or who goes to work or what business does what. Oh, dear. Not fun. My first sports injury. Yay. Vicksburg, the Gibraltar of the Confederacy. Yes. The modern Mississippi flows differently than it did back then. Oh. Oh, no, knee. Oh, yeah. I did a whole thing on that. To make a long story short, if something starts to hurt, don't keep exercising. My doctor had that look on her face that you've seen a doctor have where they're trying not to tell you that you are the dumbest person who ever lived because it's not professional to do so. Alrighty. So, yay, we love 1776 here at Miss Martin Muses. We love America too because I guess that's me. Why on earth? Oh, it's showing me all the fireworks displays. All right, I got a timeline here. And if people ever wonder, hey, why don't you ever share your screen showing some of these websites, etc.? It's because sometimes it just pop up with because you are exactly at this exact point. And I'm like, listen, there's too many weirdos around here to make it safe. Make it safe. Now, by the time all of this stuff happened in 1776, we were well into our issues. I mean, we all know about things like the Tea Act, 1776 does it really well. The opening song, the Tea Act, the Townsend Act, the this act, the that act, the Stamp Act. What are they waiting for? Yeah, 1770 was the Boston Massacre, which John Adams got the shooters off. The Tea Act was 1773. Boston Tea Party, 1773. And in response to the Boston Tea Party, we have the Boston Port Act that the Parliament closed the city's port. And we had the Intolerable Acts, the Quartering Act. And by the end of 1774, we had the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia. Hello, Rachel Percy. Art, I know the feeling I should be resting my knee, but do I? No. Nope. We just get old. We're not able to do things like we used to. But then again, with my situation, it wouldn't have mattered how young I was. Some of the stuff I was doing puts pressure on the knees. You get young people having some of these problems. And I should have rested and iced and all that. And I didn't, because I'm an idiot. 1775. Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. And the Paul Revere Ride, the battles of Lexington and Concord. The Fort Ticonderoga stuff. We had the Second Continental Congress. George Washington was made the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. The Battle of Bunker Hill occurred. And then we had the Olive Branch Petition, which was the final attempt to make peace with the crown. Didn't work, obviously. Let's see. Battle of Quebec happened. And then now we are in 1776. Thomas Paine publishes Common Sense, January 10th, 1776. February 27th, the Battle of Moores Creek Bridge. March 3rd, Continental Navy captures New Providence Island in the Bahamas. March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. British evacuate Boston. April 12th, the Halifax resolves, North Carolina. It was the first colony to authorize its delegates to vote for independence. Because remember, really up to this point, especially, the Olive Branch stuff, maybe we weren't going to have to go through with it. Though, of course, one could argue the Rubicon had been crossed. I mean, but, well, I guess you got to do things right. Or maybe the first attempt to say, we tried. So that's April 12th. And with a lot of political maneuvering that goes around, on June the 7th, 1776, Richard Henry Lee proposes independence to the Second Continental Congress. Now, of course, it was not that simple. John Adams was a mover and a shaker in all of this, as well as Benjamin Franklin, etc. However, as John Adams himself admitted when he was talking to Thomas Jefferson about the reason why Thomas Jefferson should be the one to write the Declaration of Independence, he said, I am obnoxious and disliked, which is true. They even made a song kind of about this. You're obnoxious and disliked. Did you know that? Yes. They also felt like it was very politically important to have one could argue, the most powerful colony being the ones to lead the way, as well as a southern colony, because they kind of were like as a block even then for reasons, as we all know. So the Relief Resolution, quote unquote, also known as a Resolution of Independence, was an act of the Second Continental Congress declaring the 13 colonies to be independent of the British Empire. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia first proposed it on June 7th, 1776. And then from that point, a committee was made to draft the Declaration of Independence. Now, the people that were part of it, we've already said, it was John Adams, it was Thomas Jefferson, It was Benjamin Franklin. It was, oh my gosh, the name just went right out of my head. Oh, Livingston, Robert Livingston, and Sherman, Roger Sherman. And as I told you, the whole quote about Jefferson being the one to actually write it was because he wasn't liked. People liked him. He wasn't annoying like Adams. The miniseries John Adams does a really good job of showing how he just couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself by opening his big mouth and causing trouble. And the musical 1776 does a good job with that as well. But Adams also admits that Thomas Jefferson is a far greater writer than he. It's a very famous quote, something that they wrote together in letters. I do not have that memorized, so maybe I will find it in a second. And of course, Thomas Jefferson, when he wrote it, it wasn't like as though he came up with all of it himself. But what he did was he was able to put into writing so eloquently the uniqueness of the American thing and all that. Because, I mean, when we ended up climaxing, if you will, 1776, I mean, we had things like Magna Carta, English common law. All of that stuff played a role in developing it. That's why we kind of are sad right now about what we see going on in across the pond in the UK. But the Virginia Declaration of Rights, I think, was one of them. And just in general, American thought. And I don't know. I can't find the quote, but I got the better part of the quote where John Adams had said that it was, it's you're not disliked, I'm disliked, you can write better than I am. And also the fact that he was from Virginia, that helped as well. So yay. So that's June 7th. And then July 4th is the day that we adopt the Declaration of Independence. So not necessarily the day that it was signed, but let's look at it. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. Yay! When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impelled them to the separation. Fancy way of saying, first of all, our rights do not come from any government. Like sometimes people say, oh, the Supreme Court gave us the right to that. No, your rights are God-given. Nature's God, laws of nature, nature's God, natural law. He's referring to that. So he's just saying that it's written on the human heart. You have these by right of being human. And he says, now we need to write the reasons for it. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator. There we go. Their creator, God, gives them these rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, the right to life, the right to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So to secure these three rights, these key rights, that we need to make a government among men, the consent of the governed. Who are the governed? The people being governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. So if the government becomes destructive of these ends, the consent of the governed, right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it is actually the right of the people to alter or abolish it. So he doesn't even say they can or they should. He's like, it's the right to do so. This is such a great work. His rhetoric is amazing. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient reasons. So he's causes rather. So yeah, so he's saying, not just because you're ticked off or something, it shouldn't be for light or transient reasons. Prudence. Yay, we love prudence here at Miss Martin Muses. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. So in other words, he's saying this is not easy, this is not light, and that it's actually easier to just kind of suck it up. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. So yeah, I mean, not only you're right, but your duty, your raison d'existence, and to provide new guards for their future security, a new government. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a long history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. And then he goes on for quite a while. Rachel Percy-Hart says, exactly, no government can infringe upon your rights given you by God. The fact that people say the founders had no intentions of right coming from a specific God is nuts. Yes. Though, nature's God is also talking about the natural law God, but it's the same God. Yes, he has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and present importance. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people. I'm obviously truncating this for reasons. We don't want to be here forever. He has refused for a long time to cause others to be elected. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners. He has obstructed the administration of justice. He has made judges dependent on his will alone. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent them to harass our people. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. Yeah, that's why we had that part in our our Bill of Rights. For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment. For any murders which they should have commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, no taxation without representation. So that's why people are saying, well, with the consent. Technically, they can tax us. They can. Because the idea is that the consent was given when we elected who we elected. For abolishing for the free system of English laws in a neighboring province. Oh, I think that's referring to Canada. Okay, you see, we used to like Canada, and that's probably all I'll say about this. That's why I'm very frustrated with a certain person who I usually support, but I do not support that. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures, abdicated government here, abdicated by declaring us out of his protection and raging war against us, plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. Whoa! That's pretty intense. transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taking captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, excited domestic insurrections among us. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms and been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of all this stuff. We have appealed to their native justness and magnanimity. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity, etc., etc., etc. We therefore, when something's there for, ask what it is there for. The representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the supreme judge of the world, that's God, the supreme judge of the world, capitalized, for the rectitude of our intentions. Do the name, and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare. There we go, Declaration of Independence, and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Mic drop. Fantastic work by Thomas Jefferson, and of course voted on. I should add, most notoriously, he had originally put the horrible things that Britain did the enslaved people, but it had to be taken out because otherwise the South would not have gone along with it. And people even still say, dude, you're the one who owns them too. But obviously he felt it was wrong. And they kicked the can down the road. Let's see. We had Georgia, Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton, North Carolina, William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, John Penn, South Carolina, Edgar Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., Arthur Middleton, Maryland, Samuel Chase, William Paca, Thomas Stone, Charles Carroll of Carrollton. Yes. Of the Carrolls. Virginia, George Wythe, Richard Hammerly Lee, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson, Francis Lightfoot Lee. These names. Carter Braxton. Pennsylvania, Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin, John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson, George Ross. Delaware, Caesar Rodney, George Reed, Thomas McKean. New York, William Floyd, Phil Livingston, Francis Lewis, Lewis Morris. New Jersey, Richard Stockholm, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, Abraham Clark. New Hampshire, Josiah Bartlett, Matthew Thornton, William Whipple. Massachusetts, Samuel Adams, John Hancock, Robert Treat Payne, Elbury Jerry. Rhode Island, Stephen Hopkins, William Ellery. Connecticut, Roger Sherman, Samuel Huntington, William Williams, and Oliver Wolcott. And of course, we get the very famous John Hancock. Sign your John Hancock, because he signed it really big. Allegedly, he said, so Fat George can see it. That might be apocryphal, but why not? That is where we get it. See, so many things that we have as expressions come from this time. Good times. And as we all know, that wasn't the end of all this. It's going to go on for several more years. What else happened after this Declaration of Independence? We had the Battle of Brooklyn on August 27th. September 15th, the British occupy Manhattan. September 16th, the Battle of Harlem Heights. Battle of Valcour Island in October. October 28th, Battle of White Plains. November 16th, Battle of Fort Washington. November 20th, the British capture Fort Lee. December 23rd, Thomas Paine publishes The American Crisis. And December 26th, the Battle of Trenton. Dun, dun, dun. That's the end of 1776. So good times as always. Good times. We endorse all of this. We love America. And we love 1776. So let me know. Let me know in the chat right now, or let me know in the comments. How are you celebrating the 4th of July? How are you celebrating our independence? One thing I did was last night I went and got a bandana for the dog I'm dog sitting that says USA because he is a patriotic dog. They had cat stuff too, but there is no way on this planet any of these cats, the one I own or the ones in my care, would have anything to do with them. Dogs are more compliant about these things. I got some hamburgers to make. Well, rather one. I actually went to a butcher and got a proper big one for myself and got some cheese and got some potato salad. Oh, I got some proper French fries. I don't know when the last time I had proper French fries was, or any French fries. So I may not survive this Independence Day. What else? What else do I have that I'm celebrating? Oh, yeah, I think I might get sparklers. I might not. It might just be a bad idea. I tend to be rather clumsy. Definitely nothing that's going to blow up. That's really a bad idea. I will definitely be watching, at bare minimum, the second episode of the John Adams miniseries, and maybe 1776 as well. Maybe also some documentaries that are available. Always good stuff. We endorse them. Mystique says, I want chocolate. Oh, hey, guess who has chocolate? See, if you hadn't sent it all to me, maybe you'd have it. There you go. I think I'll have some of your chocolate today. Gosh, I felt like there was some. Oh, well, of course, I'm going to keep reading The Wheel of Time. I had to start like almost immediately the next book, The Crown of Swords. I'm in the epilogue right now, or rather the prologue. And what's funny about it is the prologue is like what was happening at the end of the last chapter of the previous book. So I'm thinking that maybe he was originally going to have that as being part of the book, but it worked out better this way. I don't know, because I don't know a lot of stuff behind the scenes with Wheel of Time, and I won't until I have finished reading the series. So yeah, time with the dog, time with that. What else did I just don't remember. It's so important I don't remember. Well, the cat has officially fallen asleep. That's why you haven't heard any issues. Yeah, he totally conked out. Yeah, when I'm over here, he's very, very needy. Oh, how could I have forgotten the most important thing I am doing to show my love for America? I will be playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Even though, yes, I have finished it, and I finished it quite a long time ago, but I'm replaying it now. I did some good hunting last night. I was able to get the raccoon. Now I got to try to get a blankety blank panther. Now, a panther killed me. I don't know if that counts, but yeah, panther got me. But the raccoon was not as easy as it could have been, but what ended up happening was I Googled to see like where they hang out. So I was able to find them. Those of you that want to know, it's near the Emerald Ranch where there's a bunch of water, and wait till nighttime. I'm going to get the vampire as well, because he should be spawned by this point, and I have to go there at midnight in Saint Denis. Well, besides that, that's it. Well, I'm really happy to be here with you all. Thank you. I will as always, be streaming when I can, making probably some shorts coming up, maybe some videos. But once again, I do appreciate you all. I'm at 1968. Whether not 1968, I wish 1968. That was the year. 1168. Yeah. YouTube has me going up and down. I can't make any sense of it. And so I will not try to make sense of it. But if you are wondering or wanting some of my Catholic material, it is now on a separate channel called Catholic Explaining. So let me go ahead and put this in the chat. If you have not subscribed already, or if you wish to subscribe, here it is if you would like to. I'm almost at 100 subs on it. 78 subs, so not bad at all. See what else is going on. No D&D this weekend, so I think it's just going to be a lot of reading. I do have some guests upcoming. Stay tuned and keep the bell going. We're going to be doing a review of book 6 of The Wheel of Time, and for sure we will be doing a Deadwood when I finish it. What else? Oh, I believe a fashion one upcoming with Magitech Mags. We haven't yet decided on that. She's been pretty busy, so we're going to work that out and everything else. So you all have a great Independence Day. Celebrate your liberty. Hold on to it with both hands. I want to thank everyone that's been coming in and out. We had Steve Kenobi, we had Rachel Percy Art, Deadman Walking, 55, Salty Traveling Sea, Heisman, Tomby, and rather those that have been coming in and out, as well as those that have stayed with me the whole time or that have been here. Betty Hepburn, thank you for being here. Anyone else? Nope, that is it. But there have been people lurking, so I want to say thank you for being here and all that will be doing so again. Let me know in the comments how you are spending your Independence Day. Have a great Independence Day, and be certain if you are anywhere around fireworks, do not lose a finger.